right, guys, welcome to the second and greatest achievement of our lives, being on this podcast together. I'd have to say that this is important, right?
It's a big day.
So I often abuse the term doctor, the prefix doctor with everybody. It's like, oh, Dr. Luch, oh, Dr. Friole. This guy, however, is a doctor. He's a doctor in innovation management. And we're going to learn more about what that means. And what I love about this guy is he's totally humble. I wake up every morning, I have to remind myself, be interested, not interesting. And this guy basically lives this without having to remind himself at all. Start with the family first. 3 fantastic kids, a beautiful wife who's actually a real doctor, no offense. And he has an addiction to Stratton, Vermont tractors and whiteboards.
Fair to say, Bobby.
Now the boring stuff. He started his career at IBM and developed ThinkPlace. I'm sure you guys have heard of ThinkPlace for IBM. It's an innovation and brainstorm platform that's helped over 300,000 people convert ideas into revenue. And now he is on a quest to make homeownership easy with his new app, vipHomeLink. I bring to you a buddy of mine for over 10 years, Alfred Bentley III. Dr. Bentley.
Happy to be here, Bobby. Really appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, no, dude, I love what you're doing. Just as interesting as you is your journey and major transition that you have made over the years to developing this thing. Kind of take us back a little bit and tell us, how did you get to where you are today?
So there's been a lot of things that have really contributed to it. Looking back from a career perspective, some of the earliest roots for where I'm at today actually came from the earliest days at IBM. So I started out as an intern, ended up inventing something going into IBM research. That was a lot of fun. Spent a couple of years in sales. Sales was an absolutely incredible time in my career. One of the nice things about it was I also met a mentor, dear friend of mine, Mario Pasalacqua, who's now on the team actually as well. One of the things which happened within sales was people heard that, oh, you've invented something and you created something and you're now over at IBM Research trying to patent that idea. It opened my mind to realize that a lot of the best ideas were not always coming from research and weren't always coming from the labs, but they were actually coming out there from the interactions with customers. It was being there with the customers, being there with the clients, finding out what their challenges were, and then working with them to understand how we could better solve those. So during that period of time, I realized that we had a huge opportunity to take more of those great ideas and convert them into business impact. So I met with a number of folks in the IBM leadership and I actually asked them, it sounded crazy, but I think I was maybe 24 years old. I said, I need a budget of about $5 million. We're going to build this online platform. It's going to bring together all IBMers. We're going to take all these great ideas and convert it to revenue.
This is like what, 2005?
This is around 2004, 2005 when the earliest roots of this were coming together.
Okay.
With an incredible team, we put together this amazing platform called ThinkPlace that helped to bring 300,000 people together to collaborate on taking ideas into something which was driving economic impact. Our goal, we had to double the investment. And I think if I'm remembering correctly, I want to say it was somewhere around $4 to $5 million and we were supposed to double that. I think within the course of a year, we hit about $1 billion. So it was really exciting.
Wait, $1 billion in revenue?
$1 billion in economic impact as a result of the ideas that came out of it. So there were ideas that were saving money. There were ideas that were creating additional profit. There were new product ideas too.
Now, how'd you guys measure that?
So there was actually a team that was working on it to decide on the funding. And the funding was determined based on the business potential. And there were actually accounting practices that were put to it to understand what was going into it. What we wanted to do was not just collect wins and just say, hey, we had this great idea, but we actually had a team of people who were measuring the business impact on it too. So absolutely exciting.
Can you think of a few of the notary ideas that came out of that?
Yeah. And
notable ideas?
So one of the things that was actually kind of interesting was a lot of it had to do with workplace efficiencies and new technologies that could make things easier for people. So there were innovations that had to do with how they were handling expense accounting within the company. There were also ideas that would change the cooling of some of the server processes. So we had things that went all the way from the physics of how computation was taking place all the way to how people were processing T&A reports.
So did IBM like hoist you on their shoulders and start running you around like their new mascot, or what was the result of that for you?
So that was a lot of fun. I actually got to spend a lot of time with a lot of other household name companies, going out and helping them become more innovative as well too. One of the biggest learnings though that came out of that whole experience was one of the senior executives, I still remember it like it was yesterday, but one of the senior execs in front of a lot of the IBM leadership team in the boardroom made the comment to me. He goes, you better not just provide us with a bigger pile of ideas that we're not sure what to do with. I want to see some results that are coming out of this. So it kind of galvanized for me early on that it's great to have ideas, but it's really, really exciting when you get to convert them into results. And so we got to do that with an IBM, and then later on we got to do that with other companies too.
IBM, Think Place comes out, you're revered, you're becoming successful in the space. Where did the change make where you just decided I'm going to go and do my own thing?
So it's kind of a difficult decision. And part of that actually came down to what I was actually doing and traveling around and doing a lot of the consulting was actually ending up pulling me away from my family. So I had to make a difficult decision that I knew that I wanted to go out and help as many people as possible, but I also had to balance it. So that was when I decided to actually strike out on my own and give that a shot. And that was an absolutely incredible experience. Got to work with large hospitality brands, hospitals, and ultimately try to help them become all that they could be through execution on innovation.
Well, it's funny. It's like, when I got out of school, I was a consultant, right? Mm-hmm. And I wanted to get into investment banking. And the funny joke is consultants want to get into investment banking. Investment bankers want to become consultants. And reality is both jobs are training and just pulls you away and takes your entire life up. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you noticed that early on and you decided to go your own direction, that's a huge feather in your cap, because I know, from a personal perspective, I know how much family means to you, how much personal time means to you. So, that work balance is important.
It's a difficult decision, but when you start to consider family and all the other things, it becomes a lot easier decision.
You're off on your own. Give us a little bit of a framework in terms of how your life was that basically put you into the helm of creating vipHomeLink and taking on that CEO and riding all of this thing.
So it was actually kind of a natural progression of so many of the other things that were going on. While I was consulting, I was also teaching in Red Stevens. So that was a lot of fun. So I got to spend a lot of time with students and actually getting the college life. Yeah, I got to. So I had an absolute blast with that. During that period of time, I also had a bunch of rental properties. And one of the things that I realized early on was I enjoyed the rental properties. I enjoyed working on homes. I enjoyed every aspect of it. When things went wrong, I actually enjoyed fixing them. It was something I took a lot of pleasure in. The challenge with it is as we started to scale the rental properties, I was also starting to scale my family. So there was this time early on when I had one or two rental properties. I couldn't remember anything about any of those properties. 3, 4, 5 rental properties. I couldn't keep track of everything. And when the family was a little bit smaller, it was easier for me to dedicate more of the time. As the family started to grow, I wanted to spend more time with them. So I was spending a lot of time trying to manage and administer everything with these properties. Went out and looked for software that would help to make it easier, more simple, and just a better way to take care of properties and keep track of everything. Couldn't find anything. So around about 2012 or 2013, we said, well, we got to just actually try to create something that would actually do this. The first build of what became vipHomeLink and vipHome app. And it's been an exciting journey ever since.
Well, it's funny because we talk about the scalability of businesses, right? Mm-hmm. We talk about self-managed businesses. How do you create a business that you are running as an owner and the business is running you? First step is how do I find efficiencies? So that's great that you look for sort of a software app, didn't have it. You're trying to run your consulting business, and you decided, I'm not the only guy out there that's going to find value in this. I remember the early days when you start. Give us just a brief framework in terms of it was you yourself. You brought in your dad, and you started going external. Then talk to us about the growth that you've seen over the past couple of years and putting this thing together.
Well, I think one of the big things, and this is something I remember you and I were talking about a lot, it was this whole notion of you want to go out and solve a big problem. If you're solving a problem that just relates to a super, super small niche and it's just going to have a really small, just totally accessible market, that becomes a bit of a challenge. This was something that we realized very, very early on, that this affects the lives of so many folks. The home can create a lot of stress if they feel like they don't know what to do. They could be wasting a lot of money, wasting a lot of time. And it's not like it was affecting hundreds of people or thousands of people. There's 70 million homeowners in the U.S.
Give a quick example of what are some of the easy things that most people just neglect or have difficulties in their home with that this thing can help them.
the biggest challenge that so many people report to us is they don't know what to do and they don't know when to do it. And often they don't know how to do it. One of the other big things that we focus on is the why they need to do it too. So the number of times that people have had major issues related to failing to clean out the dryer vent, things like that. They weren't exactly sure. They didn't know how to do it. They thought cleaning the lint trap was actually cleaning the dryer vent, and it ended up in a home fire. So there's those types of things that we help people know what to do and when to do it. And then from a behavioral economics point of view, so help them understand why they need to do it. If you choose not to do this, these are the stakes. This is what's at risk by not doing it. So there's been that, which has been just...
Well, it's not like fires, right? It's just useful life of certain things in the house, right?
It's amazing. So we're actually just doing an interview with the WQA about water quality. And it's one of those things where if you have incredibly hard water and you didn't know that you need to soften it, you could actually, exactly to your point, your boiler's not going to last this long. Your hot water heater's not going to last this long. The plumbing fixtures are going to be totally calcified. So there's all these things that I actually think, and the way that our team looks at it is we kind of try to take advantage of some of the mistakes that we've made and what we've studied so we can try to help democratize more of that information, get it out to all homeowners so they don't have to experience those same mistakes too.
It's funny because when you start a new business, I think most people, they don't really understand, I guess, the difficulties, the headaches, the heartaches, the sleepless nights, what it actually means to start something from zero. I mean, you're talking about something that doesn't even exist, right? It's not like you started a business that you're replicating, you're stealing processes or ideas from other businesses. This is something that didn't exist. Talk to us a little bit about that stripped down version about when all right, I'm doing this, I'm getting it off the ground. What are some of the things that you did to get you from idea to inception?
Well, first of all, it would have been a whole hell of a lot easier to just not do it. I could have just kind of just stayed the course and that would have been a whole lot better. So you mentioned those sleepless nights and, some of the stresses involved in that. Like, I thank God for that every day.
Yeah, but that's the difference between like a real entrepreneur and somebody who just, is trying to figure themselves through life. It's the execution. It's the actual, taking the idea and not saying, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, someday I should do that. It's pulling the Band-Aid off and saying, listen, the harder thing to do is more than likely the better thing to do. The path least traveled, right?
Yeah. And it's also the most fun too. I mean, it's one of those things when you embark on the journey. I think a lot of the entrepreneurial ethic is kind of, we're doing this, we're burning the boats, we're going to make this happen no matter what. And I think that was always a lot of fun. As far as the challenges and the tribulations and all that, that's also one of the things that I know looking back 5-10 years from now, those are the things that I'm going to cherish the most. We've had lots of successes. There's going to be a lot more great things coming up, but it's still also, what did I learn? And did I have a good time doing it all along the way? The journey really has been the most fun. The climb has been the most fun.
So you just brought up 10 years. Let's say we go out 10 years from now. What aspects of your life are you most curious about what it looks like in 10 years?
I'm curious about what I will be doing at that point. I know that over the next 3 years and looking 5 years in arrears, I have learned so much through this entrepreneurial journey. And over the next 3 years, as we grow to 1 million people, as we help that many more homeowners, we're going to learn so many more things about business. We're going to learn so many more things about the market. We're going to learn so many more things about ourselves. I mean, that is us as a team and our investors, our friends and family. We're all learning in this journey. That's going to shape what the next 10 years are going to look like. When I look at what really, really gets me excited about the next 10 years, it's not necessarily about what I'm going to be doing or how I'm going to feel or where I'm going to be at financially or otherwise. It's more a matter of how do what we do over the next 3 years change the lives of all the people who we're working with, our friends, our family, our investors, are any of the members, any of the million members on the platform. Those are the people who we're going to be working really, really hard to make sure that they have a great 10 years.
All right. So everything else, let's close our eyes again and go forward 10 years. What would have to happen in order for that to be a success in your eyes? What do homeowners have to actually realize? What are the people who are going to use your app actually going to realize as like life-changing events for themselves?
So it's a great question. It's kind of a spectrum. So there's going to be some folks who over the next 3 years are going to learn a lot more about their home. They're going to learn how to save more money. They're going to learn how to make their home more efficient. We're going to help people save tens of thousands of dollars. There's also going to be a large portion of people who are going to do things, and the changes in their behavior are actually going to prevent major things from happening to their homes. So we're going to actually save a lot of heartache, save a lot of challenges within the home. The other thing which we're really proud of, and I think our team is just absolutely just incredibly passionate about, is if you look at this knowledge gap, we spent all this time, energy on collecting data, and all these homeowners are saying we're struggling with it. We don't know what to do. We don't know when to do it. We don't know when the last time we did it was. We don't have all of our homes information all in one place. We're trying to work with folks to try to make their lives easier and try to help make them become better homeowners. So it's not just about having a better home, a bigger home, a nicer home, a better maintained home. It's also about the changes that we make. So somebody could say, I've gone from being scared of this box to live in to instead having it as a relationship where they now become confident homeowner.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, right? So you know my story. I just moved to a new house, but prior to that, we bought an old house. We redid it. We had it all done, and we lived there for a number of years before we decided to move on. Right? I don't know how many times I've said to Brooke, we need to call for who did we use the last time, or the HVAC guy. Who did we use the last guy? We have to get the ducts clean for the house. What was the company that we used? Or even people who ask me, who do you use for this? I don't know. They did a good job, but I don't remember when it was done. I don't remember how much it cost, because you just get caught up in life and those things go by.
So much of the stories that we shared, even in the early days of the company, were things that actually shaped it as well, too. We always had a strong vision for what it was going to be like, but it was the feedback for real homeowners to say, this is actually how we can help. And these are the things that need to be baked into and woven into the fabric of the business.
I mean, you're so not only committed and passionate, but, and I guess passionate really does encompass the love of what you do. Also know your sleep habits, which are hysterical, because, you'll be up at 1, 2 in the morning doing coding, and then you'll, be asleep during normal people hours, depending on the day. We talked about you getting into doing your own business for life, work balance, for your family. What are some of the things that you do just to stay healthy? Like, what are the things that you do to take care of Alfred?
A lot of it ends up becoming the weekends. The weeks are generally rather hectic. There is a bit of a meditational schedule that goes on. I do try to exercise. One of the things that I really put a lot of pressure on myself is to get frequency, but not always duration. I just try to make sure that I do something physical every single day. And there's sometimes where it's, well, I have this other project that's overdue, or I committed it to one of my teammates and I shouldn't go for that. I shouldn't go for that run. I shouldn't get on the Peloton. What I've actually found over the years is I never regret doing it. I'm always more alert. I'm always a better colleague if I've actually exercised as well. On the weekends, I actually over index towards exercise, downhill mountain biking, skiing. One of my favorite things to do is actually teach my 6-year-old daughter how to ski.
One of your addictions, Vermont.
Yeah, Stratton, Vermont. So we spent a lot of time up there. So last weekend, so it's really nice because Alfie's an instructor up at Stratton. So he's loving that. Our middle son is doing adaptive skiing. So he's doing an amazing job. There was a period of time where we weren't actually even 100% sure that he was going to walk. And then about 5 years ago with this BART adaptive organization, that has just been absolutely incredible. They actually got him to the point where they said, we think we see a path to him skiing down the mountain by the time that he's 18. He's now 11 and he could do a top to bottom run.
That sounds like we need to give a little shout out to that organization. Talk to me a little bit about what that organization has done for your family.
So BART Adaptive Skiing is the name of the organization. Absolutely, absolutely incredible. Kate, my wife, is on the board and she absolutely loves it. It's a team of volunteers. I think that they're approaching 100 in the whole organization. And what they do is they work with skiers and veterans as well who may have different abilities. And what they do is they provide a plan to work with the athlete to figure out what might be possible and a plan to try to get them as far as possible in the journey and to get them really much more involved in life and in a sport, which has a life-changing effect, not only on the individual athlete, but really on the whole family. So it's been an incredible, incredible experience. Again, BART Adaptive.
Do you want to talk a little bit about Elliot and some of the struggles that he's had, where he started to going down the hill?
Yeah, so he has epilepsy and he also has a number of other genetic challenges. And one of the things that has been absolutely incredible is watching his intrepid journey of just saying there's basically going to be no limits on me. It's one of the most...
He's amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah, just absolutely. He's got all the fight in the world. It's one of the most charismatic kids. His EQ is just off the charts. Like you or I could have a bad day and walk into the house and he'll know immediately. He's fine. He said, okay. Just instantaneously. So just absolutely amazing. But one of the things that, just as, the way that which the world has aligned, it's Kate also through her medical background and just her passion for helping kids. She has been absolutely amazing, just identifying some of his challenges early and then trying to remove as many of the barriers as absolutely possible. So he's just absolutely crushing it and thriving.
So I'm gonna just kind of bring this back because you said meditation, right? I'd love to learn a little bit about what your routine is. You were talking about some of the things that you do with your family, some of the things that you do for giving back. This life versus the life you lived at IBM. What are some of maybe the top 3 tips out of that evolution of going from working all corporate, all day long, every day, and going the entrepreneurial route and saying, I have my commitments to my team now because you have a team. I have commitments to my shareholders and to my clients. But, how do you, maybe three top things that you do in those spaces to normalize yourself and how it impacts everybody around you?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that was very easy for me back in the IBM days to find motivation in was often through gratitude and really focusing on the level of appreciation. So IBM actually, one of the things I forgot to mention too, and I think you mentioned, but just educationally, they were like, this sounds like a really good idea. Go take 2 years and go get your PhD and study this. And the whole program, I literally didn't have to do anything other than study. So that was an amazing gift that IBM gave me. So a lot of what I was doing after that was, I contractually had to repay them back for sending me to school. But I had so much gratitude, so much appreciation for them taking a risk on this 24-year-old kid who wants to now go try to build the world's biggest brainstorm. So when it came from a place of gratitude, it was very, very easy for me to do. Fast forward to today, within vipHomeLink, we're serving homeowners who, if we don't do a good job, bad things can happen in their home. If we don't get it out to enough people, they could be spending too much time. They could be experiencing high stress from their home. So it's kind of this mission that we're aligned with, and it just makes it that much easier to wake up in the morning. One of the things that I learned very early on, this actually goes back to the IBM days, has really helped. My meditation is probably dramatically different than a lot of traditional meditation. There's probably a lot of people that would say the meditation is totally wrong. I actually think about work when I meditate. And I know that seems a little bit strange. Sometimes there's a mantra.
Yeah, so you're supposed to clear your mind.
To clear your mind.
Why are you filling your mind?
From my perspective, it's an ability to kind of just zoom out from everything that's going on and focus on what it would take to move the business further forward. And by having those periods of time from 20 minutes to an hour of just perfect clarity of thinking about what's going to go on going forward, it's incredibly helpful from a strategic perspective. The other thing that's really, really nice about it, I come out of this feeling completely well-rested and energized.
We're constantly talking about the pendulum of working in your business versus working on your business, right? Working in your business is doing the things that you need to do on a daily basis, the different projects that you might be working on, the hitting the profitability. It's everything during the day that you're doing to operate your business. Then we talk about working on your business, which is exactly what you're talking about with meditation, taking that step away. And I think what most people are guided or instructed to do is work with a partner or work with, some of their, maybe upper management, go off site and do it as a team. Do you find that you get a lot of your ideas just from internally being able to decompress? Do you do things with your partner? Where do you find you get the most inspiration?
I think the most inspiration actually comes from the times where the team is collaborating and just working together to try to solve something. There's moments where we get really excited about, hey, we figured out the next big thing and we're going to go do this and charge forward into the roadmap. The times where we get to step back and saying, what else could we be doing better? Or what did we do wrong? And how could we have done it differently? Those learning moments are incredibly, incredibly energizing. And I think we're really, really lucky too. It's an incredible team. If you have there's no risk aversion. Everyone is looking at the world through the lens of, let's do as much as we can, as fast as we can, but let's be supportive if we screw something up along the way. And let's learn from what we do and try to learn as fast as possible.
So learning from your mistakes, moving forward, what is one of the biggest mistakes that you've had in your career that's really changed the trajectory of where you are today?
It's a great question. I think one of the biggest challenges has been failure to ship. And one of the challenges that I had very early on, and I still see creep up at periods in my life, is you always want to get things perfect, because what are people going to think? You release something out and this new feature, and you're saying, nope, we have to perfect this, this, and this. And looking back over the years, there have been 7, 8, 9-figure opportunities, which I missed just because I said, no, I need to spend more time on minimally viable product. And then I have to build it, and then I have to get it all tested out. Whereas if I just released it into the market, it would have been great. So that's one of the things we've been really striving for as a team. Let's get the feedback, let's get that processed, and let's get it out as quick as possible.
So is that like a pride thing? Is that a paralysis analysis? What is that? Have you really kind of done a deep dive on yourself to figure out what is stopping you when you get into those moments?
I honestly don't know. I haven't fully unpacked it, but I have to imagine that there is a little bit of an element of pride where it's, well, what are people going to think if it's not exactly perfect? The thing is no one expects you to ship version 10 when you're actually shipping version 1. So I think that there was a bit of that. And then I think that probably accompanies a little bit of perfectionism around it as well, too. So it's been an exciting journey of how do we get to great fast, but perfect is something that we realize, may take a bit longer, and we try to get things shipped as quickly as possible.
What are the next couple of things that are going to be big momentum shifts for you, or big goals that you have set for yourself personally and professionally for the next year? And what is it that you have to add into your life in order to make that happen?
Well, one of them was taking a big risk. And it's actually aligning with some of what we're doing today as well, too. So we have this incredible amount of content. We have probably approaching 1,000 pieces of expertly written content within the app. And, we've had great traction on that. But we're seeing more of this tectonic shift where people are actually moving to video consumption instead. And that was always something that I said, we're not really going to be able to do. We got to wait until we can get everything just perfect before we do it. We made a decision about a week ago that we're actually going to be converting all of that to video content.
So can you share the story that you shared with me before about when Mario came in? Are you open to share that?
Yeah. So we're having a discussion, and so Mario makes a comment to me about we have this incredible library of content, almost 1,000 pieces of content, with interviews from like the likes of the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense, like incredible organizations backing us up on all this. But the concern was not as many people are consuming it because it's not in the medium that as many people are consuming. So Mario made the comment, of all those, say 1,000 pieces, how many of those do you think should be converted to video? And I made the comment, I don't know, maybe we'll pick the top 100 and we'll get those out. It was every single one of them, because no one's going to pay attention to the ones that aren't. So yesterday we spent the day fully setting up a studio.
Well, first you go, it sounds a little bit aggressive, right? And you went to your wife, and then you went to Kate, and you said, Kate, go ahead. We're going to plug everybody here.
Yeah. And then Kate explains to me that you see where I'm getting this information, pulls out her phone, and she's got all these examples of other things that, she's done off of video as well, too. So I was pretty excited about that. But one of the things I'm also incredibly, I guess the right word, be proud. When you look at the organization, the team has been able to rally around this. And from a decision that we made, I guess at about 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning, as a team, we decided that this was a path we were going to go down. For us to start recording by 4 p.m. the next day, it's pretty good. So we're really excited to get that out. So as we talked about, we've got the goal of getting to 1 million users by the end of 18 months, helping them become better homeowners. This is going to have a material impact on it. We're really excited about that. We got a couple other big features coming up too. So.
Is there anything this whole journey that you would have chose to have skipped? If you were to go back and rewrite history, was there anything that you just feel was a non-teachable, skippable moment?
The moments in time, and there were a lot, where I was kind of resting on laurels and I was saying, did that really, really well. And we spent a bunch of time on a victory lap when we should have instead been like, check, and then moved on to what else do we need to improve? I would have skipped those chapters. And there were a bunch where it was kind of, we did this is awesome. And we paid too much attention to what we were doing that was really good versus all the other opportunities for places that we can improve.
Well, how did that impact?
The good news is the amount of time that we spent in those were generally not long. But I will say that when we look at the times with the periods of time within the company that we're experiencing the highest growth, it's where we're getting the most feedback. And we're spending the most time listening to what the market needs and what our members need.
Okay. So, we've gone through a lot, right? Unpacking a lot about your journey here, vipHomeLink, your goal, your quest of 1 million users on this platform. What else do we need to know about Alfred Bentley that's really going to change the minds of the listeners here that are business owners that feel like, we're in the trenches together?
I think the biggest thing, and it's maybe kind of a wish that I have for other entrepreneurs that are out there. Like I wish that they are working on things that are well aligned with them, both intrinsically and extrinsically, professionally and personally. Because we hear a lot about this whole idea of work-life balance. And I could tell you, I get to spend a lot of time with my family and I, cherish every moment of it. But I also end up working 80, 100 hours a week, every single week. If I wasn't doing something that I loved, I think that would be sucking the life out of me. But instead, I actually feel younger than I've ever felt. I feel more energized than I've ever felt. And I feel more confident about the future than I've ever felt. So I wish that for other entrepreneurs as well, too, both in the decisions that they make about what they're working on and how they go about doing it. And, in the experiences that they have as well, too. I do believe that success is correlated. So much of the entrepreneurial journey is about finding consistent wins and iterating and learning fast. It's also about survival, too. And if you don't have that intrepid motivation, it's really hard to survive.
Well, the motivation is key. I mean, there's so many things behind that because it's you kind of hear both sides of the story, right? People say you have to do something you're really passionate about. And if you do something you're really passionate about, you're more than likely to be successful. But then you have other people who say, well, if you're young, you really have no idea what you're passionate about. Yeah. Learn a skill, become really proficient at that skill. And when you become really proficient at something, that's when you actually love it because you're good at it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the kind of the catch-22. And then you go down this life of, I'm going to do something I'm passionate about. And if you don't have the commitment, well, who the hell cares then?
Yeah.
Because if you're not going to follow it through, or you're not going to be disruptive and change things, and you're not going to be different in your industry, or you're not going to be top of your industry, then what do you do?
Yeah. I think so much of the point. So much of it comes down to, and you and I have talked about this over the years too. It's this alignment of what you're doing. You've always loved helping people. And that's always been something you've been passionate about. You'd run through a burning wall for somebody who is in trouble or somebody who unique that you could help. That makes life a whole lot easier. So I think it's picking the big challenges, picking the large markets, and really believing and knowing that you can make a difference in that space and you'll never work a day in your life.
I've surrounded myself with really good people. And one thing that we mentioned yesterday was just coming to work. And on Mondays, like nobody has the Sunday scaries.
Yeah.
Everyone's excited to get into the office. They've got the project that they're working on, the team that they're working with. They've got clients that are coming in. We've got a whole list of different things that are going on a Monday. And everyone around the table was sharing, oh yeah, we actually love Mondays. It's just great.
Yeah.
So, all right. I like to wrap things up before we give VIP the final plug that it deserves. I like to wrap things up by just asking, in life, you've accomplished a lot. You have a lot of things that you've acquired over the years, a lot of things that you've done, experiences that you've lived through. And let's just say that, and I stole this from somebody else. I want to be completely honest. I just think it's a great question. Let's just say you are extinguished from this earth. Nothing of your material belongings, your belief systems, who you are, your experiences are left on earth, but you get to choose 3 things. What are the 3 things that you think would be most impactful to leave behind, whether or not it's for your kids or for humanity as a whole?
Well, I think it kind of aligns with the things that I feel that the team and I think are good at. And I don't mean to align it with the business from that perspective, but I think one of the biggest things that I could leave not only to my kids, but really to everybody is this passion for actually being a better homeowner, and being able to take better care of the home and closing up some of that knowledge gap. That's something which I think would be a really, really nice mark to leave on the world. I think in addition to that, now are these material things or legacy things?
Could be anything. So the world is your oyster. Dealer's choice, baby.
From a business perspective, I think would come down to the being able to learn from mistakes of others and learning from the successes of others. And the successes that I've seen for the people who've done well in the entrepreneurial space is finding that alignment early. The other two things that if there were lessons that could be left for my kids, focus on the journey and not on the end result, which I think has been something that has always made a huge difference in my life. Again, I've never enjoyed the trophy ceremony. I've enjoyed everything that's kind of led up to it. Professionally speaking, it's like the best way to reward me was to give me a bigger challenge or more accountability or responsibility.
So many people they don't enjoy the journey. It's always about the finality of it. Like, I just want to be there already.
Yeah.
And when you're there, what is there? Because when you get there, there's just a new destination that you're going to find yourself heading toward.
Yeah.
Do you ever find yourself like really done? Except for when you're dead and in the ground buried.
At what age do you want to retire?
Me?
Yeah.
I would probably, we define retirement as financially stable enough to make the decision of whether or not you want to work full-time, part-time, or not at all. Okay. So I have an age at which I want to be financially stable in order to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I will ever not work because
totally with
to your point, this isn't work. This is fun.
Yeah.
Like even this podcast came off of just, I love to talk to people.
Yeah.
I like to figure out what makes you tick. I like to understand where you've been and what you've done and the successes that you've seen, but also the failures that you've tripped over.
Yeah.
Like to me, I get jazzed up about the bad stuff over the good stuff because you've obviously overcome and endured. And that's the things that motivate and get me going.
I'm totally with you.
So I love the journey, and that took me a long time. It took me a really long time because it was always for me. It was always the destination. I can't wait until. I'm
absolutely with you, and I think that that's probably one of the other things too. That just even looking at the example of so many people who've been around me who just kind of kept working and kept going, and it was always because they found that alignment was something that they were passionate about or meant a lot to them. And it could have been them switching from, a corporate career into a nonprofit, but always finding something else to keep them going. That's the thing that I see that keeps people young. And it's not like it's something that I would ever try to force myself into doing. I just can't imagine not doing it. I can't imagine a day, where it's, I'm going to retire.
Carry me out on a gurney.
Yeah. Just keep having fun, keep doing things. I mean, that's really important. I think it also comes down to as well, and this is some of the discussions that I've had with Alfie a lot too. And, as a freshman year of high school, generally just thinking about school. But the nice thing about it is I've seen his bedroom has got, it's marked up. All the walls are marked up with ideas and business plans.
Oh, I wonder where he got that from.
Yeah, it's unfathomable. So interestingly enough, that's a little bit of the legacy that I'm really, really excited about. I'm really proud of. He's going to create things that are just going to be absolutely amazing. And the biggest thing that I've always wanted him to go after was going after the big problems. Don't wait for some big company to go solve the big problem. I mean, as we've seen in the markets over the last bunch of years, it's generally the smaller companies which are nimble and have the alacrity to go after and solve those big problems. And then the big guy gets the ball. So we're seeing that a lot. It happens a lot. And it's something actually that a lot of the big companies have gotten really, really good at doing and knowing how to do the acquisition process and all. But from that perspective, it's enjoying the journey, and it's really, it's going after some of the big problems to keep life, as interesting as possible.
All right. So we're going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs being, let's take care of that home, vipHomeLink being an important thing in your life, a passion for you, and something that you want to make sure that the entirety of the world has their hands on. I know a lot of higher net worth individuals are looking for ways to manage their multiple homes, and you're looking to get it to the average person who needs to manage their own home and do it in an affordable and efficient way, so that this way they don't have to be laying out big money when there are mistakes or problems in the home, that they're doing the right things day after day, year after year. So with that being said, what do we got for the listeners today?
So the good news is it actually can apply to all homeowners. So right now we have a big US push. So we've got anything from a castle to somebody who actually has a house that has exterior plumbing in Alaska. So we run the whole range of like all different homes and all different types of homeowners. We have contractors who are on the platform. Then we have folks who know literally almost nothing about how to take care of their home. So I'm that whole spectrum.
I'm going to cut you off and I'm going to preface this right here because I want everybody to listen to this. I am going to buy the first 100 users on this platform who decide to go with the code that we're going to leave in the comment section.
That's awesome.
So now keep going with that because hopefully people are listening going, oh, I'm going to get something free. Yes. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. So the folks who take advantage of the offer, they'll be able to have vipHomeLink. So all their home's information, all in the palm of their hand, and they'll get reminders and recommendations tailored for them. And they'll also have access to a number of other features, including the home log, where you get to track all the information of when you did stuff. That's where we're going to be releasing a lot of the new video content, which is coming up. So we're trying to help a lot of people here. And I
love Mario's push, man. That's great, right? And that goes to some of the things, sometimes we're just, we're waiting for the right tide to come in and the right wave to take to shore. And sometimes you just got to try and paddle and grab the first thing that comes.
Wasn't it going back a little bit to Apollo 11 and Apollo 13? Like we didn't have the technology for going up to the moon, but we just said, well, we're going to make a decision. So
are we getting into controversy space? Did we really land on the moon, or was that just a set in Fox Studios?
We'll leave that one to the next podcast.
All right, guys, listen. Great episode. I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you and everything you're doing. And I love that you're here with me, and I couldn't have asked for anything better. So thank you, man.
That's a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.